Amy Maya. Thank you for sitting with me and having a reflective conversation and for taping my lesson yesterday. Amy is our resource teacher, and so we work closely together on a daily basis. The reason that I chose this lesson was for initially the teacher had said that the class had read the story of the Lorax and they had really enjoyed it, and she thought that that would be a good lesson for me to do for comprehension, and that turned out to definitely be true. This story was a third grade story, and this was a kindergarten class, so it was clearly above their level, but like our readings had said, that when you have the interest, it's okay. They will be able to comprehend things that are above their level, and I feel that they definitely had comprehension when it came to this story. I think that using cause and effect was an appropriate strategy to use, because I wanted to do more, obviously, than just basic comprehension with them. And basic comprehension is really all that they have been doing in kindergarten, and that's all that has ever been asked of them. So the day before the lesson, I went in and read the story to them again, and also just asked some questions. We did a basic comprehension of the problem and solution and the character and settings, and I just wanted to ask them some questions though, and to see how far I could take them and what they could give me as far as comprehending the whole idea of the story. And I think it was quite interesting. I gave them, I asked them to put themselves in the shoes of the Lorax and to be able to speak for the trees, and to tell me what they would do to get the Onceler to stop chopping down all of the truffula trees. And I was just wanting to see what they would come up with. And of course some of them came up with the basic, I would ask him to stop, or I would ask him, why is he doing that? And so those are completely appropriate questions that to be asking when you're 5, right? Why? And just stop. And but to have some of the students that, like Isaiah, who was just so animated during his discussion with his partner about what he would do to get the Onceler to stop, I had to call on him and I had to ask him what he was thinking, because something big was going on in his head, and he was just so excited, and he said, I would get my whole family and all of my friends, and we would stand there and we would tell him, you have to stop. And so that was his way, of solving the problem. And then I had another student who said that they would call the police, and another student said they would call in the military. And so it just made me think, though, that in their mind, here you have this problem, and clearly the Lorax didn't solve the problem, because once they decimated the entire forest and there were no trees left, and so he wasn't enough. Him on his own wasn't enough. So clearly you needed backup. Mm-hmm. And as a 5-year-old would say, what kind of backup would you need? You, law enforcement or military, somebody big, somebody strong, your whole family standing right behind you to help you. And the one I think that stood out the most to me was Yadira, who was one of my intervention students, who couldn't quite put it into words, but said, I would write a paper, the paper that tells them that he can't do that anymore. And right? And that part was it was so fascinating to me. I said, that's what you mean, sweetie. You mean that you would write a law that said that he can't cut down any more trees. And her eyes lit up. Yep, that's what I meant. And how exciting to see that she was able to really give it some deep thought. And she was really able to see how you could solve a big, important problem like that. So we did the lesson with cause and effect, and we had the chart, and the chart of the Lorax, and we had cause, and so I had written out the causes of, the trees being chopped down and what was supposed to be the effect of that, or that the bears had to go in the water with the fish having to go, and so I just had the causes down because, at this point I want to provide them with support, but at the same time I don't want to give them everything, so I want them to be able to think and to be able to share their ideas and to make sure that they do understand rather than they can just copy. Right. Because they can copy it. They could have just copied it if I had put it all down there. So going through and doing just the causes with them, and then having them with their partner match the cause and effect pictures. And so in giving that picture support, I thought was...
It made it accessible for everybody.
Yes, it definitely made it accessible. It made it accessible to the lower levels. It made it accessible to the ones who are still learning the language. And it was very clear. And I will say that, walking around and checking with them, getting past the group that was arguing over who was holding the pictures. Yes. Once we were able to solve that problem of who was going to hold on to the pictures, and we actually were able to put the pictures onto the paper, clearly that was not a problem. They were fine. The one that stands out is Joshua from the front, who was popped up the entire time and was so excited, who is a boy who's on our radar, right, and has been on our radar the entire year, and has been definitely one we've been concerned about. And to have that conversation with him and his partner who is reading at a first grade level at this point, and to be asking them about the cause and effect pictures and which ones went together. It was only Joshua that was telling me what was going on. So clearly he had it, and the look on his face and the smile that he had, that he knew he had it too, and that was really exciting too, to see that he was so proud of himself, and he was so happy that he was able to do it, because I know there have been times where he doesn't know, and he tells you he doesn't know, and he clearly is frustrated. So this was a time where he was really successful, and that was really exciting. I know that I could definitely have probably talked to the teacher ahead of time, because of course, this was not my classroom, and this teacher was not even there yesterday. No. She's not even there, so it's a substitute on top of it, and we have how many days of school left? Three days of school left, and it's, so they were a little bit squirrely. And I will say though, considering the fact that they were a little bit squirrely and they're 5, they really...
interest level.
They did, and as I was, you don't see it until you're watching, until you're watching the video of the lesson, because during the lesson, all I kept thinking was, wow, some of them are not very focused, but then watching it, no, they were. They were talking, but they weren't just talking, they were actually talking about it. But it would have been nice if I had some of her quick attention getters. And I didn't know what her attention getters were, so I kind of had to work with ones that were mine, but I'm not their teacher. And so, of course, if I had just known what she says to get their attention really quickly, then it would have been a whole lot faster and smoother. So that would be something, going into a classroom again and teaching another lesson, that would be something to be thinking about ahead of time, and to be asking them, ahead of time, what do you do to get their attention? I know there have been some extensions to the lesson, and I kind of used what I had them tell me the other day when we had our discussion. What would you do? I let them have a chance to draw that. Right. And it was really cute to see that the girl who was going to have a law said, I can write a paper or something. She had written something, and another little girl wrote in her kindergarten writing, I speak for the trees, on the top of hers, and it was really cute, because you asked them, well, what is your, what was in there, and you could clearly tell that they were conveying that message of how they would try to solve the problem. So I think another way we could take that is we could take that to now, you speak for the trees. What else could we speak for? What are some other things that we could help and fix? And what are some other things in our environment or society that that need help, and those could be other lessons, I think, that could go along with that to kind of show the comprehension that they have there. So I think you could do quite a bit more and get deeper and really talk more about those words too, cause and effect, and really the more they hear it, the more they'll
use it.
Yes, because I felt like they understood what cause and effect were.
But maybe not using the words correctly.
Right,
Yeah.
and not being able to say that's cause or that's the effect, and being able to do that, that is going to take some time and lots of practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, thank you.